Just in from the Mercian, benefits claimants have been given permission from water companies to ignore the hosepipe ban. While millions of Southern Water and Affinity Water customers have been under a ban since Friday, thousands on a water sewer tariff are exempt. You know what? It's actually getting hard to make videos for YouTube these days because when your nation is completely falling apart, I just get bombarded with stories. People send me hundreds a week at this point. And I don't know which one to pick, because if you want to have a sensible approach to YouTube, you need to, pick a subject, make a thumbnail and talk about it. But when you're getting deluged with stuff, because you're basically living in Lagos or Kashmir or something, essentially you're in a third world country. And it's getting hard work for me. It's getting a bit confusing. So this video is going to be a bit scattershot. I'll pick a title and a thumbnail, but I've got plenty of things to talk about. Because 24 hours in modern Britain, well, it's chaos. It's like the Battle of Rorke's Drift if it lasted for 3 months. However, before we start, I can sum this story up very simply. It's of no surprise to people like you and me and people that pay attention to the world, because the ideology being followed by our ruthless overlords has a very strict tier system. Everybody knows this. It's the victim pyramid, isn't it? So it'll come as no surprise to my viewers. Essentially, it's contrary to the belief of sort of boomer Tories that are still daft enough to vote for the Conservative Party. It's starting to dawn on them how bad things are getting, and they're like, yeah, I'm on the bottom rung if I'm a pensioner in Britain and I haven't got a year-round tan. They're starting to get it, but they don't quite realise that while obviously anyone who's got a slightly dusky hue about them is definitely 5 rungs above them on the ladder, the victim pyramid does include people that look European, but only if they are fat chavs who've never done a single day's work in their entire life. So they're on the pyramid. I mean, they're a few rungs above you. Basically, it works like this. You, anyone who's foreign and dark, anybody who goes to the snack bar, and somewhere amongst that little mishmash there is the likes of Lizzie Bardsley, Mick Philpott, and every other work-shy chav that's ever walked into the job centre with the neck of 1,000 giraffes and actually said to them,
I need money for baby.
Right, we're going to start with this one and then we're going to go on an adventure, a wibbly-wobbly adventure around Western Europe's most embarrassing totalitarian state, okay? But we'll start with this one. Benefits claimants can ignore the hosepipe ban. Of course they can. Of course they can. I mean, you're pulling your pudding out, grafting, going to work every day, so fat chavs can sit on deck chairs, drinking special brew and scratching National Lottery scratch cards at your expense. Why wouldn't they be exempt from all the rest of the rules? Why not? The story explains it's the Telegraph, it's an exclusive on the Telegraph, but I've stopped giving them money because they're not a Conservative paper anymore. 2 water companies have been accused of 2-tier restrictions after allowing families on benefits. We'll just call them chavs. Chavs to flout the restrictions. I know he's like a channel mascot at this point. I bring him up so often, but I have a long memory. If you don't know who Mick Philpott is, yeah, friend of the channel. Just Google him. The short version is he was a typical career dolly who spent his entire life eating microchips and drinking special brew and smoking Super Kings that you bought him, and he had 8 kids or something. In fact, he had so many children, he decided an effective little scheme he could embark upon to get more benefits for baby was to set his own house on fire. And when you've got that many kids, you just accidentally leave 4 or 5 of them in the upstairs bedroom and they all get reduced to ash, because apparently enabling that behaviour is tolerant and liberal. Yeah, nice one. Just remember, if you support the type of behaviour that we've enabled for the last 25 years, you basically handed him the Swans Vestas and the petrol yourself. Remember the old rhyme from Vietnam? Napalm, napalm, sticks like glue, burns old women and the babies too. We should co-opt that and use it for The Guardian readers. Petrol, petrol, burns kids too. It wasn't Mick Philpott, it was you dopey twat. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well, does it? 3 34-degree heat waves have so far led to hosepipe bans across England to reduce the looming threat of drought. I mean, first of all, can I just say this, right? I live in a paradise with some of the best weather on planet Earth, right? It never rains here. It's always sunny all the time, perfect temperature, cooler, 10 degrees cooler than that. It's just great. And we don't have hosepipe bans because we've actually got, infrastructure, reservoirs, logic and common sense. Everyone's got a sprinkler here, they turn them on every day. And that's why everyone's got a nice middle-class arsehole looking garden with a white picket fence and nice green grass. The dopey twats that run the UK have got you living on one of the dampest islands in the world. And you need to have hosepipe bans? I mean, think of that. If you live in Manchester, you've got webbed feet because you're basically damp 350 days a year, and the second the sun sticks his head out from behind a cloud, apparently you can't turn the taps on. Unless you're a big fat chav. Yeah, I'll stop using the Philpot analogy. Basically, if you're one of the fat birds with a bottle of Stella in her hand, who's stenciled on the side of every can of lager in the UK. You know what I'm talking about, that little warning sign. Don't drink booze if you're up the duff, you fat, ignorant, shit-for-brains oxygen thief. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, if that's you, you can have the hosepipe on. Of course you can. Because why should the rules apply to you? Sorry, if I keep ranting, I'll never get to the end of this, but I get very angry because I lived in the UK until I was like 33 and I never had a single penny ever in dole or universal credit, or I don't even know what the benefits are because I never had any. I joined the Royal Marines as a teenager, and when I left, I lived off my savings until I got a job working for the council. I've never, ever done anything other than pull my pudding out for lesser men to live at my expense. And it was the same when I went back to Nottingham and I was working at Games Workshop. I'm living in a 1-bedroom flat because I'm a bit skint because they only pay you 30 grand a year. And the bloke from Trinidad and Tobago downstairs, he never did a lick of work in the entire time I lived there. We live in a parasitical society. Sorry, you do. I was fortunate enough to claim asylum in America. But yes, the scheme caps water bills for low-income households and those who must use large amounts of water for essential needs. Yeah, and that counts. If you're a degenerate alcoholic and your liver's melted because you've been drinking Buckfast that I bought for the last 47 years, you can have as much water as you like, lads, because you're on the team. Team Labour. Have you spotted the pattern? It's basically political favours for supporters of the party, like you're living in 1984. Because who else supports the party? Oh yeah, the regulars at the snack bar. So that's why they turned a blind eye to them, rogering 50,000 children like a copper's radio above 2,000 kebab shops all across the country. That's why they blow up little girls at pop concerts and then they say, yeah. But you know what the real problem is? White people being a little bit right-wing occasionally. Ooh, we can't have that. Rudu Kanubu can slip a carving knife between an 8-year-old's kidneys. But heaven forbid, you've got a picture of Margaret Thatcher up in your house. Whoa, we can't be having that. Anyway, rant over. Applicants must be claiming benefits. Of course they must. Of course they must. Because they don't like you if you work for a living in the UK. Should we do something else? It's quite bizarre, I think I've been desensitised. All the death and chaos I've seen in my life. I was the only bloke whistling a happy tune walking through Baghdad when the IEDs were going off. And that's because Borough looks like Mogadishu. I walked 3 miles through the town centre last time I was home. I'm not exaggerating, it was 90% foreigners. That 1.5 mile stretch from the train station to the old local I used to drink in. It looked like the Market Bazaar in Mogadishu on Black Hawk Down about 2 seconds after the A-10s had just strafed it. So I didn't have any concerns when I was in Baghdad or Afghanistan. Helmand Province was a walk in the park. I definitely seen more dead babies in the car park at Aldi, off Linthorpe Road in Middlesbrough, than I ever saw in a war zone. So I'm desensitised about this. Honestly, that last story about benefits, the people that have sucked my blood like vampires for the last 40 years, that annoys me more than the explosions and the killings. I know that's irrational. It makes me sound like a bad person, doesn't it? Every time I see the pictures of the victims of Rudu Kanubu or the Manchester bombings, it makes my blood boil. But that last story, for some reason, really twisted my nipples for some reason. Maybe because it's probably more of a problem. The butcher's bill's probably only in the thousands over the last 2 decades from the regulars at the snack bar. But those people have been taking the piss out of every single working stiff in the UK for about 40 years. And worst of all, we import more of them every week. All the people moving to Europe are career welfare recipients. It's staggering. Anyway, let's do this. Have you seen this one? Lib Dem councillors going around taking down England flags. I mean, they don't ask, they just steal them. Look, it's a Ring doorbell. Calmly slice them down and then briskly walk away with it. Thieving bastards. The reason I want to bring this one up is because I've always advocated a sort of good-humoured, cynical approach to life, right? Not becoming an extremist. And I've had this out with a few of you who've had a pop at me because I still occasionally watch Middlesbrough. And if there's a big game on, I'll go and watch it. And people have scorn for you and go, oh, sports ball, right? But as I've said, if you don't have distractions in life, it'll send you mental. Now, of course, I don't give them any money. I don't buy tickets. I haven't bought a shirt for 15 years. And when you get to my age, you don't really need to. I've got a collection of them, especially the old area ones from the 80s. You wash them once, and they're like sandpaper. If you go for a jog in an old Borough shirt, you will lose a nipple, I'm telling you. If you turn them inside out, you can basically have a shave with an 80s Borough top. So I don't need to buy anything else. But these were habits that I picked up in my teens. You know, I quite like watching the football. Of course I won't give them any money. And in this day and age, I can think of as many reasons to want them to lose as to want them to win. But I'll still watch them. It's almost better in a way, isn't it? Because if they win, I'm quite happy. I'm like, oh yeah, England won again. And if they lose, I go, okay, I won't have left-wing journalists talking about England for another week, bombarding me with how diversity's a great thing because they won a football game, even though they won one in 1966. And funny old thing, the entire squad was paler than my hairy northern arse. When you hail from Teesside's petrochemical wonderland, where the sun can't claw its way around the smog cloud, you don't see much sun. No, so I have got a particularly pasty arse, and it was darker than the entirety of the England team that actually won the World Cup. So don't give me that shit, Shabana, or anyone else who's gobbing off about it. Anyway, point I'm getting at is, I'm rambling a lot today. These people are thieving, self-loathing commie bastards. And if you see one of them snatching your flag, open the door and be very, very, very firm with them. That's all I'm saying. I mean, again, it's of no surprise to us. The same people that lecture you about how much they love the country do so verbally after physically hating the country for decades. It is quite laughable to see Keir Starmer calling himself a patriot, a man who hates you, your ancestors and everything about our nation for the last 1,000 years. Loves talking about making himself out to be a patriot when there's an England game on. It's preposterous. If you want to fly a flag, fly it. Let's not whinge about sports ball just because people need a distraction every now and then. Conversely, if you hate the England team because it's 2026 and all of the left-wing politicians profess to support them, you do you as well. Can we just settle the debate there? Final one I'm going to cover. Again, honestly, I could go all day today. It's never ending. The lunacy in the UK. The bloke that killed Wayne Broadhurst, never once has that man's name passed the lips of the Prime Minister. It's still a national outrage as far as I'm concerned. But he has just had a manslaughter charge accepted in the UK, which means, I'm not showing you the video again, I mean, I'll blow a gasket, I'll have a stroke, launch my computer out the window, whatever. I'm sick of seeing it at this point. It drives me wild. You've all seen it. It was appalling. It was brutal and savage in all the worst ways you can think of. And he's been treated with kid gloves, as usual. Remember when we locked up a farmer for shooting a thieving bastard? Do you remember that? Tony Martin he was called, wasn't he? Shotgunned professional tea leaves who've been burgling him with impunity for 2 decades, and he gets jailed for it. And now they've said, oh, this poor fella's a manslaughter charge. Yeah, jumping on a dog walker and knifing him 40 times in broad daylight. That apparently that's an accident. You couldn't make this stuff up. And this fella from the Libertarian Party rightly identified this. more blatant. I mean, there's been 10 million cases of two-tier justice in the UK, so there's no point in going on about it too much. But it's brazen. Adrian Frost, 4 men broke into his house. One of them was armed, so Adrian Frost shot one of them. But because his shotgun was illegally held, he got done for murder and got a longer sentence than the 3 survivors of the shooting that came to possibly kill him in the dead of night in his own house. Think of that. So this is worse than the Tony Martin case, isn't it? 61-year-old bloke defended himself, his own home, his own property, and he got found guilty of murder. So he's probably still in jail now, isn't he? Staggering. And I'm sure you're all aware the culmination of this was the BBC, the scum-sucking ratbag, do us all a favour, President Trump, A10, strafe the BBC until broadcasting house is reduced to rubble. Then we salt the earth, put a car park on it, deny the BBC ever existed. That's how embarrassing it is. They went with manslaughter plea accepted in dog walker killing, didn't name Wayne themselves, and of course they didn't put a picture of the swarthy foreign diddler that did it. No. Let's lead with the picture of the old white man, because we don't want anyone to see the face of the stone-cold killer that's just been handed a paltry, trivial sentence for a manslaughter charge that was as cold-blooded and obvious of a murder as, well, any in history. So there you go. There's your news roundup from the day. Oh yeah, sorry, I can finish with another one, another bit of good news for you. Oh yeah, that's not it. That's just funny, isn't it? Department of Deportations going through the records in the US. Hello, fellow white people. Yeah, Abhishek Sheikh Shah and Payahavaya Shah, 2 people whose name it looks like the alphabet vomited. Apparently, they're both definitely white. Yeah, of course they are. Look at those pasty, blue-eyed trailer trash. look at the state of them. Yeah, lily white bastards, them, aren't they? No, this was what I was going to show you. UK decline statistics. We tipped over 3 trillion in debt this week. Nice one. 3.1 trillion in national debt. Inflation's still high, and the NHS waitlist 7.28 million. Unbelievable. So, if you need surgery in the United Kingdom, I'm telling you, this is your only option. Dust the cake crumbs off the kitchen table. Hand your wife a spatula or, bread knife, whatever you've got to hand, and have her poke at your organs with whatever sharp implement she can lay her hands on, because you're living in a third world country, and that number's only going to get higher, because every week, more arseholes break in, and every week, they go at the top of the list, because they've got a tan and you haven't. You're living in the worst country on earth, and you can't even get angry about it because there was nobody else to vote for. They stitched it up, didn't they? Of course Labour were going to win the last general election. So technically, you voted for this. You thought it was a good idea to make yourself second-class citizens in your own country. I mean, doesn't seem like a very sensible idea, but I suppose nothing is these days. And when the whole of Europe is Eurabia in about 25 years' time, and then they start slinging nukes about, because nuclear-armed France is going to be led by 50 Durka Stannies. So I think we all know what's going to happen. The whole world's going to end in nuclear annihilation, thanks to the insane death cult that our leaders have been pandering to for the last 30 years. Still, it could be worse, couldn't it? I mean, at least we're still here now. I'll keep cackling while the world burns, so if you're into that type of thing, please click like and subscribe, all right? Thanks for tuning in. I'm sure I'll be able to find more chaos. I'll be deluged with more chaos for tomorrow's video. So, if like me, you're a pervert and you take gratuitous pleasure from reading about total chaos and degeneracy and melting everything of value around you, I'll see you tomorrow, all right? Thanks for tuning in, lads. Toodle pip. Cheers.